Start. Hello, my name is Ethan Khan. I'm here for Declamation. Any sign of me being ready is to be shown by higher ups. I would like that. Thank you. I want to talk about the transformed media landscape and what it means for anyone who has a message to get out there in the world. And I would like to illustrate that by telling a couple of stories about the transformation. I'll start here. Last November, there was a presidential election. You've probably read about it in the papers. And there were some concerns about voter suppression. And so the plan was to video the vote. And the idea was that individual citizens were capable of taking photos or making a video of their document in the polling places. This would be used to show any sign of voter suppression. And we would all upload this to a central place. This would count as citizen observation, and that citizens would not just be there to cast individual votes, but to also ensure the sanctity of the vote overall. So this is a pattern that we assume so all in together. What matters here isn't technical capital, it's social capital. These tools don't get socially interesting until they get technologically boring. This is what happens when a shiny new tool shows up and it starts pre-mating society. It's when everyone is able to take them for granted, and because now the media is increasing social innovation like never before. This is the moment we're living through, the moment our historical generation is living through. There has been 4 revolutions up to this point, or stuff that can be labeled as revolution. The first was around 500 years ago when the printing press was made with movable ink type, oil-based ink, and it basically led books to be made manufacturally. The next was in the 1400s with the machine known as the telegraph, this and the telephone. These 2 things allowed for slow text communication and fast voice communication. Then after this, 150 years ago, we led to a revolution about recording media, such as print, photos, recorded sounds, and movies. All of this encoded onto physical objects. And lastly, at the turn of the 20th century, we were able to support native groups of conversation, i.e. act like we're talking face-to-face, even though we could be miles and miles away. The media got more and more digitized, and more stuff started to migrate to the internet. Movies migrated to the internet, magazines migrated to the internet, books migrated to the internet, so on and so forth. And now people can just gather around and talk to each other there. As Dave Gilmore says, we can be producers and also consumers. It's like as if we bought a book, we took it straight to the printing press for free, came out, and then we just changed the media landscape. This is what happens. We have the internet in its public form for about 20 years now, and it seems like the media is still changing and becoming more and more social. The second story is that last May, in the Sichuan province, they had a terrible earthquake, 7.9 magnitude on the Richter scale. People were texting on their phones, recording buildings getting destroyed, and started posting those things to Twitter. And funny enough, Chinese students around the world posted these and posted them to the Office of China. And BBC got the quake news several minutes after it happened, and before the U.S. Geological Survey had anything up online for anyone to read. The last time China had a quake of this magnitude, it took them 3 months to admit it happened, and now they might have liked to have done with that, rather than seeing these pictures go up online. But they weren't given that choice, because these own citizens beat them to their punch. Even the government learned of the earthquake from their citizens rather than the Xishan news agency, and this stuff rippled like wildfire. For a moment, it became the most top 10 linked clicked on Twitter. The 10th one was obviously a cat video, but that's the internet for you. But 9 of the top 10 clicked links for a while was just about this Chinese earthquake. This is a big period of media openness, and people found out in the Sichuan province that the reason why school buildings collapsed was because of bribery and corruption. People have been bribing the area in that time to have buildings not up to code, and therefore they were easily susceptible to earthquakes. A local official literally protested himself on the street, saying that he will do anything to persuade you, just stop protesting in public. But these have been the things in radicalized thanks to the one-child province policy, and because of how many single children there are, the population can't really be replaced. And so this caused a massive media to show that China is in danger. Now, China is the most successful manager of censorship in the world, and thus this has been called, quote, the Great Firewall of China by producers. It mostly comes to the outside world, but mostly relatively sparse chunks. There are four main characteristics that have been able to filter the country. The people of China took the wrong direction into the country. The media was produced locally. It was produced by amateurs and it was produced quickly, like McDonald's. And it was produced in such an incredible abundance that there was no way to filter it out. And so if the Chinese government, who took dozens of years trying to filter the web out, now in the position to decide to shut down services altogether or just take the long, grueling process to get rid of everything. Now they've taken the former. They decided to delete Twitter in all of China. This led to a classic media problem for the 20th century because now organizations have to get their products out in groups and they have to bundle the message and send the same message out to everyone. National message, target individuals, relatively sparse number of producers, and very expensive to do so. So there's a lot of competition, and this is how you reach people. All of this over, we are increasingly in a landscape where media is global, social, ubiquitous, and cheap. And now most organizations are trying to send messages to the outside world. The audience can talk back, and that's a little freaky, but you get used to it after a while, as people do. But that's not the really crazy change we're living in the middle of. The crazy change is here, in that it is the fact that we are no longer disconnected from each other, the fact that consumers are now producers, the fact that the audience can talk directly to one another, because there is more amateurs than professionals, and because of the size of the network, the complexity of the network is actually the square of number of participants, meaning that the network, when it grows large, it grows very, very large. As respectfully, in the last decade, most of the media was able for public consumption and was produced by professionals. And now, the grid lines are at the source of the free content.